Hey folks, welcome to the stream again. I'm going to do a little bit of a review today of the Uncanny X-Men. I got a premium here in my arcade as a loan. I've sort of set up a custom scene here. I kind of have the glass off so we can kind of, and I got the volume turned off as well so we can kind of like start a game and kind of shoot around a few things and kind of just get a sense of how things shoot and plunge and whatnot. And I'm obviously going to highlight a few of the minor inconveniences and such, right? But I just want to caveat this whole ordeal with that this is a very early premium, right? It was built as part of it's a show game essentially, right? So this is not a production premium that will go on the line later, where they probably fixed like all the little nuances that I've found, right? And at the end of the day, don't make any decision based on what I'm saying, because I'm just a dude with a garage and a pinball machine and a streaming rig, right? But I love pinball, and that is mainly what this review is about, right? So let's just like take it from the top, right? So the kind of like the first impression I got from the game, right? So if we kind of start at the beginning, we knew that like X-Men '97 was sort of rumored. Jack Danger was doing a design, and there was also the rumor of Pokemon and all that. It kind of floats around, right? I mean, you know how it works. Like rumors start, and all the speculation goes, and there are some people that kind of claims that, oh, I've seen it, it's awesome, and and so forth, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, we saw the designer's previous game, Foo Fighters, which turned into according to me, just a raging success, right? I loved Foo Fighters from the first plunge. There was nothing like, there was nothing bad. I mean, the only bad thing about Foo Fighters that I say all the time is that it's actually Foo Fighters. If that would have been any other IP, I would probably have had one of those games, right? I just can't stand like the music, right? Which is a bit of a shame, right? And if they would like use Foo Fighters the game and re-IP that with anything else, I would probably get one of those, because I just love the shots. I just love the crazy kind of feeds. You shoot one shot and it ends up being a different shot. You had a back shot on Foo Fighters there as well, right? But we're talking about X-Men today, right? And at the end of the day, folding up the game, setting it up, right, and standing in front of it, it's just like my first thought was just like, oh, it looks just like Foo Fighters, right? Because you have the Sentinel head at the exact same location as the Overlord, and it's the same color, and it has kind of like shots at the sides there, and it's just like, oh, wait. But then again, it's just like as you just kind of take everything in, it's just like it's a completely different game, right? And obviously we have the non-Italian bottom here that we kind of talk a lot about, and I'm gonna like go back to that from time to time and kind of talk about the layout and some of the things that kind of goes on here. But at the end of the day, this is by far the best feature of the entire game, right? The lower quarter of the play field is what sets this apart, right? So and like getting your first game in, kind of plunging and kind of get a few things, and it's really easy to kind of understand what you're going to do on this game, right? So you see the skill shots kind of flashing here, and they give you different awards, right? But once the game kind of starts, you bash the Sentinel head comes up, you shoot a white shot, the white shot turns into blue, and you get your ball back, you get a trap, you get to select your mission, and you get to fight some invading thing with one of the characters, right? So the characters are kind of featured on this grid here, like you have Gambit, Colossus, Wolverine, and whatnot, right? And one of the things I really like about that kind of mission grid is that how different these missions are, right? So it's kind of like depending on what mood you're in and which shots you kind of are good at with that particular X-Men, because we all know that all pinball machines are different, right? You play a pro one day at one location, you play a game at home, and the shots are just, they feel different, they and you just make them different, right? But and you can kind of select your mission depending on where you kind of feel the good shots are, right? So there's a number of shots that I kind of struggle on making cleanly on this game, right? And what I do then, I kind of use the, I don't know what the spot is. You kind of get the red button, you can kind of hold it in, and you get kind of a roving shot, and you can spot the shot, right? And I will always spot like the danger room launch, the danger room feed here. Like the figure 8 shot is like really difficult to gauge, like visually where to hit that. But when you hit it cleanly, it goes around and does a figure 8, and it just kind of blows your mind, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, the danger room shot is also like very satisfying to make, because it's just such a quick turnaround. It's like it does a U-turn up that ramp, and it feeds cleanly into the danger room here, and you can level up the danger room and such. And the danger room is obviously like the whole kind of outlane play field here that I cannot call it, right? It's just there's so much stuff in here, right? So there's one stand-up, there's a pop bumper, there's 2 stand-ups, there's a spinner, and there's the ramp to exit. There's also 2. This is something that I'm really curious about what they're going to do about this, because I haven't seen anything that's like kind of related to why this is, right? But there's basically 2 rollover switches in the main lane here, so to speak, right? And I don't know if that is to kind of measure the speed of the ball, or if that kind of gives you some award if you kind of, because the danger room, the ball, let's just get a ball into play here. So when you kind of, because this ball kind of feeds up in the danger room, right? So kind of depending on how hard you make that shot, right? Or it could be that, like, depending on how fast you shoot the spinner, etc., that might give you awards, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the purpose is here, right? Because you don't really get any indication that you hit 1 or 2 switches, but I'm sure they got the software guys have something cool in stock for us right there. So and right now, like, if we kind of go into kind of like the game aspect of how it plays right now, this is version 084 for the people that are kind of finding this review far into the future, is that the danger room doesn't affect anything on the main playfield in this code revision, right? So it doesn't matter what you do here. I mean, you can level it up, right? You can see on the display, like kind of in the top center there, how many shots and stand-ups and stuff you need to level it up. But a fellow pinballer who also got his X-Men, we kind of discussed this, and he kind of did the whole glass off, and he couldn't like see that the danger room actually affected anything on the playfield, not the missions, not the multi-balls, right? So that's not programmed in yet, but that has huge potential, right? Because, you know, with pinball is that it's the risk and reward, right? And using the danger room, right? Setting up your game. So this is the fun part of with pinball, which I like a lot, right? Because you can kind of play pinball and kind of play it safe. You get a mission, you get a multi-ball, stack out, and that's it, right? That's what you go for, right? It's a competitive game. The game is set up hard, whatever. But then you kind of like, all right, I'm going to set up a game to blow it up, right? And that's what I love about having a feature such as the danger room. Is basically, I'm going to level up going to spend my 2 first balls and level up the danger room, right? And then I'm going to start my stack. It's a very risky thing to do, but having that option is just, I mean, I love it, right? It's amazing, right? So, and that also goes for another kind of really cool feature of the game, which I love a lot, right? So I really hope that they kind of expand on that concept, right? So once you kind of have completed 2 missions, say that you've completed Wolverine and Bishop, what happens next is the future engage flashes, right? So your next Cerberus shot, and a Cerberus shot is basically any shot that feeds to the let me see, yeah, I think it is any shot that kind of feeds to the ball holes here, right? So you got one ball hole on this side here, that's like a little peg here in the ball return, and you also have an up post on this side, right? And that will take you to the future. And in the future, you don't have access to the same things that you have in the main game. Right now, you get a bit of a ball save, and the white arrows are kind of lit for 1,000,000 each. And once you kind of complete that, you can kind of choose if you want to remain there or if you want to go back. And right now, I'm not sure if you do anything in the present affects the future. I have no idea, but you can remain and stay there and continue to chase down those white arrows. You can defeat sentinels. And again, I don't really know what purpose it has, right? So one of the cool things, hopefully, that we will see is that we will have a multi-ball in or something like in the future, and that multi-ball kind of depends on which kind of missions you've completed or which mutants you bring into the future. It just has like huge potential, right? And that's kind of what I like about that whole kind of switching the playfield. It's almost like you go to the upside down in Stranger Things, for a lack of a better comparison. But the playfield kind of changes kind of personality in a bit, right? It's a different kind of GI color, and you know that there's something different going on, right? Which is really neat, right? So and there's also two other things that I don't think are programmed in this revision as well, and that is there's two inserts here. It says like Senator Kelly and Master Hold or something like that. Yeah, another kind of thing I kind of need to caveat this review with as well. It's just like I don't know anything about X-Men, right? I know who Wolverine is, and Deadpool taught me who Juggernaut was, and there's a bunch of other kind of characters I sort of recognize, obviously Magneto, but I'm not a big comic guy at all, right? So the theme itself is just like completely neutral to me, but it doesn't matter. It's an awesome pinball machine anyway, right? And I just want to kind of get that across, because there's probably a lot of like subtle elements here that comic fans will find and just completely blow their minds. But to me, this is just, yeah, it's just a comic pinball machine with a bunch of superheroes on it, right? So let's see what else we have here. So another kind of cool thing that the designer kind of have in his repertoire is the backfeeding shots, right? And we saw that in Foo Fighters, right? We had one of the orbit shots here kind of fed to a different shot here, and then we had the backfeeding shot on the right here, right? And that's exactly what kind of the figure 8 shot and the danger room shot is that you shoot the shots like from the back, right? The ball feeds downwards to feed the shots. The danger room is sort of like maybe not kind of downwards, but it's just such an interesting concept, right? And I would love to just like see more of that, where like you kind of take a plain kind of fan layout, because at the end of the day, like all games are fan layout, we know that, right? But this is a very typical kind of, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fan shots, right? And then you have shots that feeds backwards, right? It's just bonkers that way, right? And at the end of the day, yeah, it's on this figure. Like that figure 8 shot is just like completely bonkers, right? Okay, kind of got a bit of a dribble there, but the thing is, you have to make all the shots clean, right? So that is kind of another kind of issue but that's more like a me issue than anything else, right? That most of the shots have to be hit like really, really, really clean, right? Because otherwise you cannot get a half C, and all that fed cleanly. Yeah, now I could select a mission, and then at the end of the day, it's like the missions are very challenging. And one thing that I kind of miss in all this is that you can't cancel it, right? And because there are situations where you want to set up your game and you kind of, oh no, I didn't want to start a mission yet. I kind of want to get this done first. I want to get, and that also goes for, there's like a multi-ball. There's to me, my X-Men multi-ball, which starts after 3 Cerberos, right? And And so this is the thing, when before that multi-ball starts, the ball gets trapped on either side here, and the multi-ball starts like, and there, oh sorry, ball search, and the and at the end of the day, there's an animation, the ball is trapped and the multi-ball starts. It's just like, I would love to have, no, not now, right? I want to do something, I want to bring in a mission before. And that might mean that you need to qualify another server, but that's fine, right? You kind of want to have, as a player, like, because this game is all about setting up, right? Setting up the game, getting everything kind of where you want it, and then kind of go for your big enchilada, right? That I would love to see that you have that option. I know I think Deadpool has it, right? When you start a battle, you have the option to just hold the action button to cancel it out, right? Because the ball kind of dribbled in there. You might want to have a few snicked shots in before you start your battle and get your little Deadpool in or whatnot, right? And as a player, you kind of want those options. It's a very combo heavy game as well, right? That's another kind of stellar feature of this game. Like, each main shot has an insert cluster. It says it's combo, it's the sentinel kind of emblem, and then it's the main arrow, right? You make any shot on the game. Let me just see if I can get the ball launched here. So if you make like any shots, I'm going to try to make the center shot there. No. And now the sentinel is up. It's just, I'm going to show you the worst thing I hate on this game, right? I call it the trough shot, right? So if you make the center shot now, which is basically a fairly safe shot in general, the sentinel will pull down the wireform, and the ball, I tell you, it will drain. It drains like 100% of the times. Oh, now it didn't do that just because, right? Yeah, most of the times it's just like, it's just like, the thing is, it's just like, all right, tough shit, right? But at the end of the day, what I would have done, like, if this would have been my game, I would kind of like just tweak that wireform a little bit, so the ball is kind of feeding a little bit different. Because I've had so many times, you fumble around, and the sentinel head kind of comes up, and you kind of want to, and you want to do your safe shot, you want to start your mode, and you kind of like, oh, perfect shot, and you're not ready for it. It's just like, goddamn, what am I going to do? And it's just like the ball is gone, right? It feeds like straight through here, right? Really difficult to say, but it kind of dribbled differently now, because there are so many, like, the shots are so intricate, right? I mean, some of the designs that they've kind of done here to kind of feed the ball, the way they feed the ball, I never seen it before, right? So you have like the behind the sentinel there's like the wire form kind of like goes into the play field to kind of like feed that wire form up to the sentinel hand there. You have a ball guy that's kind of like a big kind of like a wall to feed the left figure eight shot, right? No, not the figure eight. No, yeah. So that is to feed. Yeah, so the sentinel also has a finger on this ramp here, and that feeds, that kind of wall feeds the ball back into the play field. Again, it's not as bad as the the trough feed there, but it's similar. It's kind of trying to alter or make it harder for you, basically, because if you shoot that shot and the ball gets kind of launched back, you don't get that shot, essentially, right? So if I had my mode qualified there, or anything else, it's just like, forget it. The shot's not yours because the sentinel kind of took it, right? And it kind of just adds a pretty interesting element to it. But besides that, right? Like what I like all the main 6 shots, they're safe, right? Well, not the danger room. Okay, 5 shots are safe, right? And they feed like to your flippers, and depending on if you have Cerberus lit or something else going on, you will also get a free trap, essentially, right? Which again allows you to do you shoot a combo from a really safe place given the ball is feeding very slowly, right? So that's pretty nice, and that all the balls are all the shots are safe, right? And some of like in the layout itself, given it have all these like back feeding shots, and like this layout is entirely unique, right? It has some problems where I've seen others have, where the ball kind of gets stuck on especially around the Kitty Pride shot there. The problem that I have had so far most of the time, yeah. So this game also have the issue with the plunge, right? So when you plunge the ball, sometimes it doesn't make it all the way around. It doesn't matter if you use the real plunger or the auto plunge, right? It's just one of those things that an early game you can like predict that, and they're probably going to rectify it on the games that are on the factory line at the moment. But there's like one really annoying trap here. Like there's like a piece of mylar where the ball kind of rests on, and that is just because when the ball, it kind of feeds from the Cerebro here when it's kind of sitting on the stick there, right? Sometimes it kind of rolls up there and it gets stuck there, right? And you can kind of like nudge it loose, but you see I get a danger, right? And you can kind of do the flipper flutter, but then again the ball is in danger, right? Another piece of mylar is really annoying is, of course, just right here on the outline there, right? Lucky for us, the ball's main weight is on the right side, but you still kind of need to give it a wiggle to kind of get it loose, right? But that's just pinball, and they will fix that as well. There will be a different kind of piece of mylar, because what happened here, like design wise, right? The mylar for the pop bumper here, and the mylar for the inlane ball drop there, it's a single kind of cohesive piece, and didn't quite account for the rubber post there. So that was some of the layout of the game, and some of the objectives. We're going to talk a little bit more about the objectives later, but I have a few talking points here I kind of want to get through. And this is going to be a pretty long review, I kind of realized just right now. So talking about some of the subjective kind of things about the game, and this has more of my kind of personal taste and stuff like that, right? And but one thing I can tell you for certain is that this game doesn't feel like a Stern. I don't know how to put that, but the minute you kind of lift up the play field, it's just like, oh, holy shit, what's this, right? If you would compare the weight of lifting this play field up and my Venom limited edition, right? Venom feels like a homebrew in comparison. There are so many coils down here in metal, and like look at all these wireforms here, and that's a coil. There's a coil there, coil here, right? And one there, right? So it just feels so rigid, right? It's just unbelievable, and it just screams quality. You also have the metal apron, of course, on the premium, so it just screams quality from that perspective, right? And there's a lot of like extra ball guides and metal and the stand-ups and like switches everywhere, right? So there's just like there's a lot of weight to it, right? And it just gives you a lot of confidence, right? And like all the ramp entrances are metal. There's some kind of plastic molds here in the figure 8 and the ramp that feeds in the back, but most of it is just metal, right? The whole kind of the Beast Lab kind of what do you call that, air suspended kind of Newton ball, yeah, it's just crazy kind of thing, right? Like this is like everything here is just like it's just solid metal, right? I mean, there's no like you can't make that in flimsy plastic. It just doesn't work, right? And from that perspective, it's just so rigid and really really different from a lot of other games, right? The non-conventional kind of flipper area here, I cannot like praise this enough, right? Like this whole kind of gold wings, deadly weapon kind of mashup that the designer has managed to kind of make here is just like, I just want to see more of it. It's just like, we have not seen anything like this since Wheel of Fortune. I can't remember exactly the year, but we're talking like late 2000s, right? And at the end of the day, like I just want to see like all these like weird ideas that kind of come to life here in this game. I just hope that players embrace this and give praise that they like it, so they build more weird stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, like if you just like look to yourself, like how do you approach when you go into say you go into a pinball arcade that you've never been at, right? And the way I work is just like, I just like, where is the weirdest game? Where is the weirdest game they have here, right? Because they will have all these like Italian bottom sterns there. Like, absolutely, there will be a Deadpool, there will be a Jurassic Park, there will be an Iron Maiden, and like whatnot, right? And like at the end of the day, it's just like, where's the weirdest game? I want to play the weirdest game. I want to play a game I never played before, right? And this is going to be one of those games, right? And then this is the same thing with Wheel of Fortune, right? And I'm just lucky that they got a Wheel of Fortune at Lynn's Arcade. It's just like, that is just mind blowing that they managed to get one in immaculate condition. It plays like it's brand new off the factory floor, right? And it's very unique how the outlane and the whole kind of double dribble between the flippers is just like, bring all that back. Right, we want that as players, collectors, whatever. We want weird stuff. We don't want games to look the same, right? And that is just my hot take on all this, right? And at the end of the day, there's a lot of complaints about like you kind of standing offset and it's not centered, and it's just like, tough shit. Play better, right? And this is hard. This is hard. It's hard as hell, right? Because it's not your traditional kind of Italian bottom stern. You have to relearn a lot of kind of ball techniques on how to get things kind of under control, right? Because you have these hard posts here, like hard posts with rubbers, right? When you flip into that, what do you think? Do you think the slingshot will fire the ball up into the playfield and kind of give you a lot of time to think? Forget it. If you just fling a ball into this post here, you flip, ping, down. The ball is gone before you don't even have a chance to think, because you're like, where did the ball go? And you can see, you can look at the screen because your bonus will be counting down, right? And that kind of warns you. You just have to play better. You have to learn the techniques to kind of work with these like different posts, just the different feeds here. One thing that is like super annoying, at least on this game, and again, this is an early like factory whatever, is that the in lane has a bump, right? You see that when the ball rolls there, right, it kind of bumps out on the flipper, right? I've kind of fiddled with the ball guide here, but I have not managed to get that kind of fixed. And again, that is just like, you're going to have to learn how to play with that, right? Because mainly what it does, it upsets your kind of your capacity to do combo, right? Because just because you know that, oh, when the ball is here, I know that's going to hit that shot. But what happens when it's a quarter inch above the flipper? The ball is going to go somewhere else. You're just going to have to figure that out, right? And then, yeah. And it's the same if the ball feeds on the ramp here, right? It kind of bounces. It either bounces out or it lands like straight down and it bounces, right? And that makes the game hard, and you're just gonna have to play better. So another kind of subjective take is kind of like on the artwork, right? We all can criticize artwork. This is not one of my Zombie Yeti favorites, right? If you kind of look at my Mount Rushmore for Zombie Yeti artwork, it's like Ghostbusters, Venom, you have Primus and Iron Maiden, right? those are absolutely top tier titles, right? Because there's something they've done in the artwork here that doesn't look very good, to be honest, and that is like they've kind of rasterized a lot of the elements here to kind of make it look like a comic book, and I'm sure like the comic book nerds kind of appreciate that, but if you kind of compare it to Venom, where everything is like super crisp, it's just like yeah, I think I like Venom better, right? But for the comic book nerds, they probably just love it because you have this kind of effect kind of sitting in some elements. Some elements have the rasterization and some haven't, right? For example, on the back glass here on the premium, most of the elements have the rasterization. You don't do rasterization on like black and white, but other kind of colors that are composite of other colors, right? And rasterization is basically a printing technique that you used in the 80s and early 90s to create more colors and shading and stuff when you didn't have it, like you didn't have RGB or CMYK basically, right? And that's kind of what that stems from. So you kind of, when you printed a comic mag, you might have had like 5-6 base colors, and you created new colors by rasterizing creating the halftone pattern basically for the rasterization. Another thing, like the music that we saw on the launch stream that was sort of questionable, and I think a lot of people kind of had issues with it. That tune is still in the game. It's during the To Me My X-Men multi-balls. You don't hear it that often. But the main tune in the game now is like super rad, and all the other music I've heard for the different missions and such is it's phenomenal, right? They kind of they took that to heart and kind of fixed it. And if you kind of go to the call outs and this early in the code, it's like they're pretty damn good, right? I'll tell you that, right? And even if I played like 6, 7, 8 hours on this game, there's still call outs on a version like .84, whatever that would mean, right? It's just like I hear call outs that I haven't heard before, right? And that kind of goes for like because they still have like miles to go, because we're on the code journey, as they call it, right? And that in turn will kind of add more content and such, right? And the same thing for the animations. It's sort of like when we saw the launch stream, the early code there, it was just very static, right? And right now, I think they've added kind of a little bit more depth. They have like a little bit more parallax kind of scrolling of 2D elements. And but at the end of the day, I don't spend that much time looking at the display. But whatever's on there that I've seen, it works really well, right? So I think they've improved there. And animations and such is usually something that comes as they kind of get deeper into the modes and the multi-balls, and kind of get into the end game of creating the game, essentially, right? And at the end of the day, like if we kind of talk a little bit more about the software there's a bunch of kind of issue with the scoring right now. There's also like something that you would expect at this point, right? One of the score kind of exploits. I don't know what to call it, an exploit, but it's just like the Kitty Pryde. There's like a Kitty Pryde shot here. There's not really a shot. You can argue that it is a shot because the pop bumper this pop bumper here sometimes feed the shot, like right there, right? And now you got 2.5 million. That's awesome. Let's see if we can feed that shot again. Oh, it went in backwards. Oh wait, you need. Oh wait. Yeah, okay, so it's worth 2.5 million, right? And then there's like Kitty Lane Award increase. There's a stand up here, right? Now it's increased, so 507.50, right? And all of a sudden it's 7.5 million, right? So they just add some weird. So now it's increased 1 million, and all of a sudden I have 10 million, right? So there's obviously some multiplier there, because if you kind of bonk that in a couple of times and you hit that target a lot during multi-balls. So if you have a long game going and you have a lot of multi-balls hitting the Kitty Pryde target, and you have a bunch of balls feeding back there, you're going to end up with a pretty high score, right? So and I think that is a pretty unfair kind of thing. Like my grand champion score there 220. I had my kitty pride up to 40 million, right? So I had one multi-ball. It was to my X-Men, right? And I just saw like 35 and 37, whatever, and 40, right? And my score like started like around 70, 80, maybe 70, 80 something. And once that multi-ball had drained, I had 220 million on the board, right? And that is not really, yeah. So that didn't quite feel right? So, but I'm sure that is just something that they will work on and fix, right? And again, it's just like a software thing, right? There's also like the third multi-ball that I basically have played like twice, 3 times maybe. It's called Save the City, and the Save the City is basically you make shots on like different roads, right? So like every ramp is a form of like direction, right? So it is midtown, subway, highway, downtown, uptown. There's no road there, but I guess the main shots have like a direction, and you're supposed to shoot them a couple of times each, and then you get Save the City. There's an insert for it there, dedicated insert for it, but you don't know like your progress on that. That is a little bit annoying, because all of a sudden it's just like, oh, multi-ball, oh, what is it, oh, Save the City, oh, and you weren't really set up for it, right? So better feedback on that would have been pretty awesome, right? And that is sort of like, yeah, I'm just iterating my kind of wish list of things here. Another thing, yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier on as well. It's just like having the cancel ability for when you kind of have your ball kind of trapped on the Cerberus or in the up post here, and you're in the middle of either starting a mission or you have that kind of pause while, to me, my X-Men is about to start. That is just like, I want to be able to hit cancel, right? I just like, not now. I want to do a few more other things, and then I want to start it, right? That would have been an awesome feature. The game also like talks about like bringing mutants into the future, right? And I haven't quite seen what that is yet, and I guess we're just going to have to wait. But that would be like one of those really cool features where it actually matters, like which mutant completes which mission here in the present, and you bring them to the future, and they get different like power-ups or abilities or whatnot. It could be like extra long ball save. It could be some like shot multiplier or what else. I mean, I don't know, right? But I mean, that just like kind of changes like how you play the game, approach the game, and depending on, again, like which shots feel good that you kind of want to bring into the future, right? So I'm all excited to kind of see how that develops. Luckily, while I'm going to lose the game from my arcade here next week, it will be down at Lynn's Arcade, and I can go there and stream on their rent a rig, right? So I will definitely follow the code journey on this game, unless Lynn's just makes it absolutely terrible. Speaking of terrible, it's just like the the danger room, right? It's pretty funny. I'm just going to show you this. It's a pretty hilarious kind of. So you see the pinky flipper here. Yeah, it's just really difficult to see, right? But the ball like barely fits here. It barely fits, right? There's not even a quarter of an inch, right, of gap. But you have no idea how that ball finds its way just straight through there, and you kind of like flicking that little wimpy flipper, and nothing happens, right? And it just makes that like part of the game like really hard, right? And I was just like thinking to myself here the other day when I was playing, I was so frustrated with it, where you basically, one popular kind of drain is that the ball kind of dribbles in there, hits this stand up there, and just like goes straight out, right? It's done that a couple of times for me, and I was just like, I wonder if you can put in a full-size flipper in that damn danger room, right? because it kind of looks like there is enough room without upsetting anything, right? So I'm just curious, right? I mean, who's the first person who's going to basically put a full-size flipper in there? Because I think if I owned this game, I would definitely try it, right? Because it's just like, it's so mind-blowing, frustrating, especially during multi-ball. It's just like you have something good going on here, right? And the ball just kind of feeds out into the danger room, and you just like, and you're trying to play with one flipper there, and you have two balls sitting around here with another ball coming, and you just like, you cannot. I don't have the mental capacity, right? So that would just be an extension of my non-functional brain to put that extra flipper there, right? I would appreciate that a lot. Another thing that, like, again, kind of wish list thing here, speaking out loud, is just like there are like these sentinels like everywhere, right? And it's just like, where is the Space Invaders Sentinel video mode, right? And this game is also set up for it perfectly, right? It's just like you can hold the ball here on the up post there, or on the Cerebro, while you kind of do a bit of 90s kind of space invader battle with the Sentinels, because I think it's not on this cab. It's on one of the, I think it's on the pro rally. They kind of they kind of look like they're coming from the sky, kind of coming down from the sky, right? And I just like, that would be the perfect video mode where you have a little space invader thing. Yeah, so anyhow, yeah, so I've been kind of rambling on here for a while now, but at the end of the day, like, the overall, this game is absolutely fantastic. I love to see where it's going to go. At the end of the day, it to me, it's been a little bit frustrating, because the coils kind of could probably use pin monks, because I tend to see like in the beginning of the sessions, I kind of like make more shots than towards the end of the session, right? And I kind of play this game like 1.5 to 2 hours at a time. And what happens is that you kind of get a lot of flipper fatigue, right? You get a lot of half C shots. And this game has 1 million half C shots. You have no idea how many half Cs you have, because all the main shots can be a half C, and you're just going to have to battle the ball, kind of dwindling back on the play field. It starts going sideways. One of my absolute favorite drains, right, is the when this pop bumper here is in action, when it basically you can basically just fling the ball like straight into the metal on this side of the outlane there, and it's just like this, like, you don't have anything to kind of fight it back with, right? And that is like the worst of the halves is there all, right? But at the end of the day, like, the shots, like when you rail the shots, it's just like every shot feels so good, right? It's just unbelievable. I just want to kind of highlight that. That was my favorite stand-up. I always hit that. But let's see if we can get a figure 8 shot here. There we go. There we go. Now we got into our mission select. And again, I would love to have a cancel there, but I don't want to play a mission. Here's a challenging mission. Really cool, because you just you cannot chase down a green shot. The modes kind of have 2 ways of playing them, which is pretty cool, right? So you can kind of make all shots that you're supposed to make and make it a perfect, and you get a lot of points for that, right? So there's somewhere in the domain, I had like one of the fiery assault there, like 50 million if you kind of make the shots in order, right? So you can get a lot of points by making those shots, right? And then again, like the unique kind of flipper layout is a lot of cause for angst, but it's also like, this is what I love about this game. Like, it's like this portion right here, right? That is, I just want to take it out of the game and go to bed and sleep with it, because I would love this to be the future, right? The future of Stern, or any other manufacturer for that matter as well, who are willing to take risks, right? Because I'm pretty tired of seeing the same damn thing over and over again. So I'm just hoping that this will carry forward, and people will give positive kind of feedback on it, because it is an absolutely amazing feature of the game, right? And that is basically what makes it. So and that was pretty much it, right? So that was my entire kind of review of the game, and kind of ranting and rambling a little bit, but at the end of the day, here you have it, version 0.84. It's a premium, and this is probably going to be the last time I stream it for a while, because there's Expo coming up on Thursday, and then we have a bunch of other things the next week, and the next week the game is leaving, right? So I'm just going to put the glass back here and crank the volume up and get some games in. Actually going to play it.
We have to fight for a better tomorrow.